You are listening to Veterans Action Report on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I'm your host, Nick, coming to you live from St. Paul, Minnesota.
And I'm Andrew Canales, coming to you live from Evergreen, Colorado.
Every day, veterans are struggling with many issues spanning from homelessness to mental health crisis, often leading to 22 veterans a day taking their own lives. There are veterans all around the U.S. leading the fight to help guide our brothers and sisters to a better life. We will bring you stories from all around the country telling tales of veteran struggles and triumph. Every episode benefits veteran-run nonprofits Warriors Next Adventure, helping veterans fight PTSD through recreational therapy and new adventures. And Houses for Warriors, helping solve the homeless crisis, leading veterans to a better lifestyle. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Veterans Action Report. This is episode 14. I still can't believe it's been 14 weeks we've been doing this. I'd taken so much time off with Warriors Next Adventure podcast, and I was just getting ready to start Warriors Next Adventure podcast up all over again. Then I got a phone call from KGRA, and I was more than happy to get this show. Thanks again to KGRA for putting this on for us. Real quick, today we have a sponsor for today's show. It's Operation Rolling for Resistance. Now, I met Justin on my tour for Warriors Next Adventure. We traveled around the country it was about 48 days in a short bus. We call it the Warrior Wagon. We should rename it the Struggle Bus because the thing broke down 22 times. But it was still fun. So we started in Minnesota, drove to Fargo, and then we drove over through Montana to Northern California, down to Southern California, Texas, Florida, New York, all over the place. Came out to be about 15,000 miles that we traveled. And we trained at 35 different jiu-jitsu gyms, filming a documentary called PTSD vs. Jiu-Jitsu. And the documentary was about veterans who utilize jiu-jitsu to overcome PTSD. And I met Justin. He is in charge of Operation Rolling for Resistance. And his story was fantastic. He ended up losing like 100 pounds. And he's in massively better shape than he was before he started training jiu-jitsu. And he has claimed that jiu-jitsu has saved his life. Like many other people have said, jiu-jitsu saved my life is a very common term that you're going to hear in the martial arts world, because jiu-jitsu gives you so many things. It gives you purpose, it gives you fitness, it gives you friends, camaraderie, but also like a mission, right? So I'm a competitor. I still compete. I'm competing at Battlefield Combat Series let's see, that's on the 18th, I believe, in February over in Fort Mill, South Carolina. I got a super fight, and Rolling for Resistance is going to be there. So Operation Rolling for Resistance, what they're doing is he's doing 22 jiu-jitsu tournaments in honor of the veterans that take their own lives. He started in October, and he's planning on finishing by the end of the year. The guy is absolutely killing it. He's the most active jiu-jitsu player on SmoothComp. SmoothComp's a registration tool that they use for a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments. We purchased him through Warriors Next Adventure. We got him a lifetime pass to Grappling Industries because he had so many matches or so many tournaments with Grappling Industries. So it'd save him a lot of money for the Operation Rolling for Resistance. So I want you guys to go check them out. Check out their Facebook. Go see some of their stuff. I think they have some PayPal stuff on there. So if you guys want to donate some money, they are not a 501c3 yet. I believe that's something that they're going to end up doing. But if you want to help him get to tournaments, everything like that, you can go over to his website or over to his Facebook page, Operation Rolling for Resistance, and you can donate to his cause. I 100% support it. I got one of his t-shirts, and they're awesome. They're made by DD214 Fightwear, which shout out to DD214. I'll actually see him in South Carolina next week. He's the one that runs the Battlefield Combat Series. So yeah, those guys are amazing. Little bit of changes going on here. The next couple weeks likely are going to be pre-recorded. Sorry guys, I hate not doing live audiences because it's a lot more fun. But I'm actually going to be gone pretty much all February, and so we'll be doing some pre-records and everything like that. But we'll be still bringing you some good stuff. What's up, James? How's it going? Jim, I know you as Jim. It's weird seeing your name is James. So we'll have a couple more guests coming up. I'm working on getting a couple guests for next week, the week after. We haven't booked up February yet, so we will get there eventually. Today we have on Mr. Brian Talley. I'm excited to talk to him. I've been hearing about him for a while. Jan, thank you for hooking us up. His story is awesome. He's done some amazing things, and the fact that I didn't know about him before, I'm surprised, because he's actually done a lot for veterans, a lot more than some of you might know. He's got a book. He's got a book out, and you can go to his Amazon. The link is in the description, and you can click on that. It'll bring you right to his Amazon. You guys go ahead and check out his book. It's I can't wait to read it. I haven't gotten there yet, but I will read it. So yeah, we're gonna have him on. He's a Marine from 94 to 99, and we're gonna bring him on so he can talk about what he's done. So, Brian, what's up, man?
Hey, Nick, how are you, buddy?
Good. Nice to finally meet you. I fixed my audio issue, by the way.
Nice.
I
Cool.
can hear you much better now. So how you doing, man? How you been?
I'm hanging in there, man.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, so I'm doing all right. Got a lot of things going on in my life as usual, but
Yeah.
it's whatever. I'll beat it. So,
Good.
so a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Tell us about you. Who is Brian?
I was born in Youngstown, Ohio, and when I was 3, we moved to San Diego. That's where I grew up until I was about 15 years old. I moved to Colorado, and I ended up graduating high school from Woodland Park High School, and then I went on to the Marine Corps after that. Once I got out of the Marine Corps, started a family and a small business.
What was your small business?
I was a custom landscaper. So I did a lot of design build work, from retaining walls to, plants, trees, flower shrubs, decorative rocks and mulches to putting greens. I mean, sod irrigation, you name it.
Nice. I'll do retaining walls here and there. And I always hire like 1 or 2 veterans to do it with me, even if they don't know what they're doing. Still, I'd rather hire a veteran and give them some money than somebody else.
Hey, you got to hire the muscle, for the retaining wall. So
it's just like building sandbags and everything in the military.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Pick this up, put it over there, and I'll pick it up, put it over there.
Exactly.
I love how that works. All right. So I want to get into your story. So you had some medical issues and the VA kind of screwed you over and you fought back. So I want to start from the beginning. Let's talk a little bit about your military service. You were in the Marine Corps from 94 to 99.
Correct. I enlisted in 94. I got out in 99. Then I spent a couple of years in the reserves in Denver at Buckley. And then after, pretty much my service I was a Red Patch Marine. So I was an 0481 and a 3112, which is pretty much logistics. So a lot of HSTs and, shooting big guns and all that fun stuff.
Nice. So what happened with your injury, right? So you were injured and the VA had some issues with what was going on. So let's dive into that.
Okay. This all began in January of 2016. So, fast forward many years down the road, the VA is my doctor. That's who I use for my medical care. I've always had pretty good care at the VA. And then one day in January of 2016, I couldn't get out of bed. That ended up putting me on my bathroom floor. I was in so much pain. I was doing everything I could to just get some relief from the cold bathroom tiles that were on my floor. And the pain did not go away. So that's when my wife loaded me up and took me to the VA emergency room in Loma Linda, California.
So what did they figure out? What happened? Right? Was it just something just out of nowhere? What exactly was wrong?
Yeah. So it was a sudden onset of pain. And then when they took me to the VA ER, they did a couple of x-rays on my back and they said that I was fine. And if anything had happened, I had sprained my back, which is weird because I didn't have any trauma. We're
getting old. I guess rolling over, you can kind of throw some muscles out here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. So what they did is they gave me several of injections. They gave me a shot of Dilaudid, Kenalog, and it was Dilaudid, Kenalog, and methocarbamol.
What is that?
And just pain meds and, anti-inflammatories and all that stuff, opioids.
Kind of like a cortisol shot? Is like similar to that?
No, this is pain.
Okay.
These are all pain-related shots, which was another, red flag for my wife. It was because, if they're giving me all these high-end, injections for pain, it almost felt like that they were treating, the symptoms and not the root cause of why I was there.
You mean the VA giving people opiates and stuff that they probably shouldn't?
Right. Yeah. Bags of pills. Yeah. They sent me home with bags of pills. And, one thing led to another. And I ended up going back there several times, over a week, 2-week period. And it was full of delayed and just delayed diagnoses and denied MRIs and denied blood tests and finally 4 months later, my wife would end up paying out of pocket for an MRI that would end up showing I had structural damage in my back, which was again weird because I never hurt myself. And so we took that information to the VA. And after 4 months, a private surgeon opened me up because the VA wouldn't. And they found I had a bone-eating staph infection that had been aggressively eating my spine and my internal organs for 4 months. That it should have killed me. I definitely felt like I was going to die, at times, but a lot of the times I remember, but I don't because I was so incapacitated, 40 pills a day, just taking handfuls of pills every 4 to 6 hours from my wife. She'd wake me up, take the pills, and I'd go, I lived in a chair. I lived in a chair. That's where I spent my days. And, one thing led, like I said, one thing led to another, with me coming down with this horrifying medical malpractice injury that would end up causing permanent, changes to my body and injuries. And so that's where I lived in pain for years and years and years after this. About 4 years after my injury, I lived in this chair and was just trying to figure out who I was going to be and who I was going to become because, I had been completely railroaded due to no fault of my own.
So when did you finally put your foot down and say something needs to happen, right? This is not okay. When did you get that realization? Was there something that happened or was it just kind of out of nowhere? You were just like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to fight back.
Well, so after we figured out like what the hell had even happened to us, we filed a tort claim for the medical malpractice and the gross negligence causing permanent injuries and my near, fatal, death.
Because you said they falsely diagnosed you 3 times, correct?
Well, it wasn't even really. They misdiagnosed me,
Sure.
but
not falsely. Sorry, misdiagnosed.
Diagnose you. But what they did in addition to just misdiagnosing me is they never, was delayed and denied care. They failed to give me a blood test when we asked for them. They failed to give us an MRI when we asked for them. They failed to just treat me. They just threw pills at it and they said, go follow up here, go follow up there. And they just gave me the runaround. And here I am in a wheelchair at the time. I don't even know what's going on. Every time my wife brings me in, they're just giving me shots of Dilaudid and, again, the methocarbamol and the Kenalog and bags and bags and bags of pills. And, that wasn't acceptable, any longer. So once they opened me up, they found this horrifying infection that had set up in my spine and was oozing with just inflammation. The infectious disease doctors had to go in there, remove a lot of spinal bone, disc tissue, had to cut some nerves off and it really did a number on my back. I live in pain every day. Like right now I've got horrible T spine pain and my C spine, my neck's all jacked up. I've got several surgeries that I'm going to be needing to have down the road here. And,
have you tried medical marijuana for like nerve issues?
I use a CBD cream and stuff like that. But my pain right now, I use, I take pills, but I haven't found that, that perfect potion yet that, that will work for me. And, living in pain, it's exhausting. I mean, I'm tired every day. I'm exhausted. I have days that I have great days, and then I have, my high pain days. And, this happens to be one of my higher pain days, but, I feel it every day. And what happened, it happened. It sucks. It's unfortunate. I lived a life of depression and anxiety in my chair for 4 years. And finally, it was in late 2019 that I decided to get up and began to get my life back. But I don't want to get too far ahead of my story here. So after we filed the tort claim with the VA for the gross negligence, the VA came out and they were very apologetic, and they said that they were going to settle my claim and that we weren't going to lose everything. By now I hadn't worked in a couple of years. The pain had, kept me in my chair, and all the issues that I had kept me from working and maintaining, my business. So we let that go. We started to lose our vehicles, my business. We started to accumulate debt. So the VA says, hey, you're not going to lose everything. Just hang in there. And, you got some help coming through, help of compensation for what we did for our errors.
I hope you didn't hold your breath.
Yeah. Well, we thought, we thought they were gonna, I mean, when they go to the news media and say that, we're going to settle your claim, you think that, they're going to settle your claim. So anyways, at the 1 year mark, they drop a letter in the mail. It was a bombshell. Stated that they denied everything based on a technicality and an employment status of the said clinician, that they were going to held accountable and responsible for what had happened to me. She's an independent contractor. And there's a law from 1946 that states that the federal government is not responsible for paying out any, compensation or any malpractice lawsuits for folks that are non-U.S. government employees.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. You're talking about the person who did the surgery that actually helped you?
No. So the people that opened me up, those were civilians at a civilian hospital that found the infection and found out what was killing me.
So the doctor at the VA, that's who they're saying is an independent contractor?
No. So the private doctors in San Diego that opened me up, those were the good guys. Those are the guys that found the infection and saved my life. The people at the VA who, that delayed and denied care for over a 4-month period and just shot me up with injections and pain pills and opioids, and they failed to meet the standard of care. Sure. Those were the folks that were doing all the malpractice and the negligence inside the VA hospital. Sure. So
they're saying that they're trying to say that because that they're technically independent contractors, or how exactly?
Well, there was 9 clinicians involved in my care total over a 4-month period, and they all failed to meet the standard of care. But what the VA has done very cleverly over the years is they cherry pick who they start to look at the employment statuses of these malpractice cases. All they have to do is find one independent contractor to tie that case to, and that's how they can see their way out of any lawsuits. So what they did in my case is everybody was a VA employee except for one. And the one that they were going to held accountable and responsible for what happened, again, was an independent contractor. So a law from 1946 completely shields them, away from any, accountability, to, all culpability is removed. So she's basically that independent contractor is shielded, away from anything, so all I could do, the letter said I could sue her in state court. But when they dropped that letter, it was 3 days past the California state statute of limitations for me to sue. So what they did is they walked us down this garden path, said everything was going to be okay. We're going to settle your claim. We are very sorry for hurting you. We are very sorry for everything that we've done. And then watch that clock. And as soon as that clock struck 12, they dropped a letter and they knew I'd get it in 3 days, and boom. My state statute of limitations had expired by a mere 3 days. And so
they did that on purpose too. That's messed up.
Yeah. And so that's how they strip veterans' rights to due process after they've been injured or killed due to medical malpractice in VA hospitals. And, I understand, look, people make mistakes. And I don't think if you make 1 or 2 or 3 mistakes, whatever. I mean, it's an accident. Learn from it and move on.
But mistakes still need to be answered for,
Yeah, but
especially if you injure somebody,
Right. And to do what they did in such an hurtful manner, in a very just not malicious, but just a criminal, fraudulent way of delivering this news to me and my family at our most lowest and vulnerable time in our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the kill shot. I was already on my knees due to medical malpractice that had caused, my life to change, in ways I could have never seen coming or ever imagined. And then we're hit with this legal malpractice, and stating sorry. It's an independent contractor. And see, this all happened inside a VA hospital.
Yeah.
And what a lot of veterans don't understand is that veteran hospitals are full of independent contractors, but you don't know who they are because they wear VA IDs. They have, VA doctor coats on, they have VA laptops, they have VA business cards. At some point, I mean, would you ever consider them not being VA employees? I mean, I would have never, have known if it wasn't for filing a federal tort claim.
I was going through all my cancer stuff back in October, and like half the people I talked to, like I was asking them, like, have you served in the military? Like, well, yeah, I'm a captain. I was like, well, okay, you're wearing a VA thing. I was like, okay. And then next thing you know, next guy's an independent contractor. Next thing you know, the next person's just a nurse. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't get it. It's confusing.
Yeah. It's so what the VA has done for generations is they have strategically created this perfect black hole for these claims to go into that will never come out and will never be exposed because of the horrifying and egregious nature of what this funnel has created, for the VA Office of General Counsel. And again, I don't fault the doctors. They screwed up. I have completely, come to, to peace with that. People make mistakes. We're all human. But when you purposely set a man up to fail and to put a dagger in, and not only in my heart, but the heart of my family. I mean, I was living the American dream. I got 4 beautiful kids, been married 24 years, and, we didn't deserve what we got, it's just.
Well, that, and then they led you on too. They even told you that, yeah, everything's going to be okay. The next thing you know, oh, sorry.
Yeah. And it's just, and it's something that you can't even fathom, and so we took this news. And it was a very difficult time in my life, but some time went on, and, I started falling deeper and deeper and deeper into my depression and into my, and my anxiety and the years of this hardship that we've been through, and all the, the pain and the emotional pain, the mental pain, the trauma. And just losing so many years of my life, I was so tired of just living this. Like I said, I was just going to just die in my chair. And then one day I got up and I said, you know what, my kids are watching me, and I've always won at life. I was won, and now I'm getting my butt kicked really bad. And I had never faced adversity like I was facing now. And, and I had a decision to make. I could get up out of my chair and I could begin to get 1% better, or I could stay in my chair, which has become my comfort zone, and spend the rest of my days in a chair being unhappy about what had happened to me, and turn into a victim. and I had spent long enough doing that. So I decided to get up and make a difference with what happened to me, to approach the VA with a solution, a common sense solution that would essentially put an end to this very legal loophole, that ruined my life, at the time we were going through all this.
Yeah. Well, I think it's ridiculous. They're so covered by loopholes and legalities and everything, and they make you work so hard to get what we fought for. It's like, they used us. They used this for years, right? We did what they needed us to do. We fought their wars. We did everything they need, and we are promised healthcare when we get out. We're promised that when we sign that dotted line, we are promised that they will take care of us after the fact. If this happens, this is what you'll get. But they're so quick to fight giving you the care that you need. Like, I applied for my VA claim in March 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I just got everything finished in October of last year. 2 years, well, 2.5 years of fighting just to try to get what I should qualify for, right? Because I ended up getting 80%, which was nice, because then I ended up saying screw it and I quit my job, and now I just run Warriors Next Adventure and Veterans Action Report full time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot, but it helps. But we have to fight so much. Like, I don't understand. We already fought for you. Why are you making us fight for our health care? It drives me insane. So people like you, and obviously for those who don't know, we're going to get into everything that you've done after the fact. But, I admire guys like you who actually see a problem and stand up and actually say, no more. So,
I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you do too. With helping take care of veterans, and it's a very behind the scenes business of just sitting down one-on-one with them. So everything you do, it certainly doesn't go unrecognized. But for time constraints and stuff like that, my story is 6 years. It spans 6 years. So once I got out of my chair, what happened was this. I went to my congressman and I said, look, we have a problem here. I've just been railroaded. There's a legal loophole. They withheld crucial information. Here's a solution I drafted. Can you introduce this in Congress? We need to get this fixed. We need to protect 20.2 million American veterans. And he was shocked at what he saw in all the information that I had put together when I said, okay, look, I am going to fight this. I'm going to expose this injustice, and I'm going to do whatever I can to shine a positive light on it, engage in a positive manner to get this job done.
Instead of the typical politics.
Right. I'm an American, right? Isn't that what we do in America? If you got, if you want to say something, you can stand up in a respectful and an honorable way and have your voice be heard. Well, I didn't have any training in advocacy or anything like that. I was just a Marine landscaper. I had an entrepreneurial mind, an entrepreneurial mind spirit. And that's what I use. I just, again, an average Joe, just use some common sense. And I sat with my congressman. 2 weeks later, he's indicted on federal charges and pretty much kicked out of Congress. So now I live in the only district in the United States of America that doesn't have a sitting member of Congress.
Oh my God.
And now I'm like, okay. An infection comes out of nowhere and nearly kills me. It destroys my spine and my bladder and a kidney. It's left me with permanent injuries. The medical malpractice, the gross negligence, then the legal malpractice. Now I don't have a voice in Washington. So my frustration just got to this boiling point, and I sat down in my chair and I just started to cry, man. I'm just done. I was done. Just stick a fork in me. I've done everything I can. I don't have anything else to give. I don't have anything else to offer. And it was a very sad time.
Yeah.
But then again, I started to think about all the time I had sat in my chair and how much I've missed in my life and my children. I love my children and my wife. And I said, okay, even if this kills me, I'm going to stand up for the good of the country. And I'm going to take my proposed solution here, and I'm going to send it off myself to 300 members of Congress. I didn't get anybody to email me back.
Nobody responded.
I didn't get not one response from 300 members of Congress. I
taxpayer dollars at work right there.
I spent weeks getting everybody's email address, and I was shooting them out. Brief bio of what happened, the injustice, how we can fix it, a little snippet of the law. So I picked up a law book. I started to read. I started to educate myself on what was going on, all from my chair, my cell phone, and my chair. I was doing everything I can. I created an online legislative team, and we put my solution into a bill form, like legit bill, like.
So
bill.
you had a group of people like actually help you write it out as a bill should be written?
Correct.
How did you have people that had experience of that? Or like how did you do that? Did you just do the research or what happened?
Well, research, but one of the guys on my legislative team was a high school teacher, and he taught government. And so he made this his classroom, real life experience to where, hey, we got this Marine veteran in California, and he gave us everything we need to put in this bill, and here it all is, and we're going to build this thing. And that's so amazing. They did. And I said, I'm going to DC. I got the bill back. I'm going to DC. So probably
how do you even figure out like what to do? Like, how did you figure out who to talk to? How did you figure what did you do? You just go to DC and hope it works out, or what?
Well, I loaded up the first thing I did is I went to my wife and I said, hey, dude, I know we don't got no money, but I'm going to DC. And so some folks helped pay my way. I had folks that, some great friends and family, hey, here's $500, here's $100, here's $20, whatever. It got me my airfare. Yeah. It got me a week in hotel and, in DC. And one of my best friends I served with, John Steelman, met me in DC because he knew I was having a hard time walking, and I couldn't carry a bag and all that stuff. So he's like, hey man, I'm going to go with you just to be your shadow. One, to help carry stuff if you need it. Two, to kind of give you a break. Three, to kind of, again, to just have your back, and to go in there as a witness, really to what was going on.
Yeah.
So I got a red eye out of San Diego and flew across the country and loaded my pockets up with pain pills and anxiety meds. When I got to the Capitol steps, I hand delivered my bill in congressional form to the very Capitol, again, to the very institutions that are sworn to protect us. And I walked the halls of Congress, going door to door, urging lawmakers to change this outdated law that has destroyed the lives of veterans and their families for generations. And I went door to door. I delivered that bill to anybody and everybody that would hear me out, listen to me, from the actual members of Congress themselves to staffers, professional staffers. Heck, the guy that swept the floors, he heard from me. Yeah. I was giving it to everybody. Okay. And one thing led to another. And I had my first bill introduced in Congress 30 days later.
Do you know who was it that actually helped you introduce the bill?
So Congressman Dave Bratt out of Virginia was my very first champion. And I named the bill the Tally Bill. The Tally Bill, because my last name is Tally, and it's
I like that.
It's a bill. All right. So Congressman Dave Bratt, Virginia, HR 7105 was introduced in the 115th Congress. Well, guess what happened? 30 days later, the election style ran, and he was not reelected. He lost by 500 or 600 votes.
Oh my God, dude.
And so now I was back to ground zero. The bill wouldn't have passed Congress anyways because they had no time to vote on it. The bill was introduced. He was running on the bill. It was going to be one of his major agendas in the 116th Congress. It never got out of the VA committee, so it died in Congress. 116th Congress comes around January, and I'm right back. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm back. And I took another trip to D.C. Again, pain pills, anxiety meds, and a mission. And I went walking with that bill from the 115th Congress because now I said, hey, look, here's the bill that I need to get introduced in the 116th Congress to put an end to this legal loophole that has dishonored veterans for far too long. And I started to get a lot of people that were interested in the bill. And my second huge champion, Mark Meadows, Congressman Mark Meadows out of North Carolina, he would end up introducing my second bill in Congress, formally introducing my second bill in Congress, and then he also co-introduced my third bill in Congress.
Nice.
With Congressman Mike Levin. So now I had Democrats, Republicans, independents, liberals, and conservatives all on board with this. And I was able to influence them enough on the importance of seeing this all the way through and that we needed to get this done now in the 116th Congress. And once I got my seat at the table, once I earned my seat at the table, I never gave up my seat until the mission was complete. And what I mean by that is I saw this thing all the way through from start to finish. And I would ensure that I would be heard. And again, I killed these guys with kindness. Once I had
That's
that
the one
seat,
thing
I didn't want to lose that seat.
That's the one thing I really appreciate about what you did. You didn't go in there and you didn't start blaming people and talking shit and blaming everybody else and saying this, and attacking people. It's just, I hate that part of politics. Why can't we come in and actually be cordial with each other, and do what we should do as Americans and respect each other and respect difference of opinions, right?
Sure.
So I love the fact that you went in there and you actually did it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I had to do this in third person because I was very emotional about what happened. And I knew how much it hurt me and my family. So I couldn't use me as an opportunity. Yeah, they knew it happened to me, but I talked in third person. I was now talking on behalf and representing 20.2 million American veterans. So I didn't have, I went in there completely nonpartisan as an American, as a veteran, as a entrepreneur, as a husband, as a father, as a son. I went in there and I just laid down some very frightful information, that needed to be addressed. And I got their attention. The media picked it up. They started following the story very heavily. And then we started to get more members of Congress going on. I ended up getting my bill over to the Senate, and then, 5 trips to DC, eight different states I visited, over 11,000 hours of boots on the ground, relentless advocacy that I had learned how to just advocate. And
how did you end up funding all this? Did you have people that were helping you out?
I had challenge coins made. Buddy of mine said you should create some challenge coins. And I did, and it has all the bills that were ever introduced, in Congress, and it's got the tally bill across it. And it just says, protecting all who, protected us, and the challenge coins are $25. And that's what helped fund my trips, to and from DC all these times, and still we had to come out of pocket, with a lot of this stuff. I had to buy some suits. I mean, I didn't even have suits. I was a boots and blue jeans guy and, a landscaper, so So I had to go in there. I had to change my I had to change the way I walked, the way I talked, the way I dressed. You know, and to get in there again, to have that seat at the table, so they would take me seriously.
Sure.
And to, you know, and to gain their, you know, just everything about what these guys look for in bills and, you know, and people and stuff like that. And, you know, we were able to get the job done. And on January 5th of 2021, one of the final presidential signatures of President Trump was signing my bill into law that closed this loophole. So what the bill does now is the VA can no longer withhold crucial information that would help out a veteran, especially those who file tort claims. And within 30 days, they need to disclose to the veteran what the employment status is of the said clinicians that are involved in the tort claim. So there's no more, you know, cherry picking these independent contractors and choosing this one here to get out of all their trouble, you know, in the last hour, if you will.
Sure. So it stops them from screwing you over. So
it stops it. Yeah. I mean, you know, you're getting stripped of your livelihood due to no fault of your own. You're losing everything due to no fault of your own. Your savings, your health, your business, your rights. I mean, it is absolutely horrifying. And I know why that this 74 years has been going on for so long, because it's so difficult to go through.
Sure.
The ups and downs, the peaks, the valleys, you're fighting this battle. And it doesn't ever end. It doesn't ever end, and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and it gets political, and it's just not a way to. It's just not a way to live, man. You know, like I ate this, I breathed this, I lived this every second, every minute, every hour of every single day, and I still do today. It's changed my life forever.
Well, you know, the amazing thing is how many times it failed, and you kept going. You know, with your congressman the first time trying to pass it, you know, gets indicted, and then the second one doesn't get reelected, and then the next thing you know, the second bill doesn't go through, but the third bill, that was the one that went through, correct?
The fourth bill.
It was the fourth. Okay.
It was the fourth and fifth. Yeah. The fifth. So yeah, there was a total of 5 bills. You know, and it started with HR 7105, and then it went to HR 3813, then HR 4526, and Senate Bill 4883, and then it all ended with HR 7105. It ended where it started. That's you know, amazing. And I went full circle. You know, and you know, it was one of the proudest days of my life when President Trump signed the bill into law. I'm still. You know, I've never had a chance to meet him and get a picture and a handshake, you know, because of went down the next day. You know, I was scheduled to be there like the 8th of January, the 9th of January. And, you know, I never had that moment.
What happened the next day? I'm just kidding. We don't need to go into that. No, that's amazing. I love how much you push through, and, you know, you showed resiliency, just pushing through all of the obstacles that you kept getting thrown at you. And then on top of that, having a bunch of congressmen just slam the door in your face too, and just say, yeah, whatever. Yeah. You know, the fact that you kept pushing and then eventually got these people behind you and got this bill passed into law, that is absolutely amazing. And people like you, I admire people like you who actually see a problem and do something about it. Like, that's the reason why I started Warriors Next Adventure, is I saw an issue with the suicide in veterans. And there's organizations out there, but I feel like I think I have something to add to the table, you know, and now we're nationwide because I see a problem and I go do something. So that's why when I see other people, you know, like myself, who just finally say, you know, it's enough, and actually put your foot down and do it and get it done, it's amazing. So I wanted to talk to you, you know, we chatted a little bit yesterday on the phone, but I wanted to wait for the show to talk about this. So when did you start writing your book, and what is the name of your book, and where can they get it?
I started writing the book. Well, I took very good notes. I tracked everything I did when I was working in Congress, again, with no paycheck, just for the good of the country, as I became my own member of Congress. You know, and the book is, I didn't choose this job. It chose me. The book is available on Amazon. I didn't choose this job. It chose me. And then my name right there.
I'm going to put you on the big screen.
And I had taken such great notes over the years. And so the book was kind of already written. I just needed to go through the notes and, kind of put this all down on paper. But, it's a simple read. It's just a book read coming from a guy who, was a Marine and then went on to own a custom landscape company, a family guy, and then all of a sudden found himself in a whirlwind of nightmares, trying to figure out what had happened in my life, and the perseverance and the resilience that I showed in getting back on my feet and having a new purpose, essentially turning my pain into a newfound purpose.
I tell veterans all the time when we're doing any kind of healing from trauma or any kind of life changes is there's two different paths you can take with tragedy, right? You can take it and you can let it destroy you, which is what a lot of people do, or you can take it and use it as fuel, right? You take that fuel and you can make a change in the world, and you absolutely did that. What was the book writing process like? Like I'm in the middle of writing my book, The Six Principles. It's called The Warrior's Path to Inner Peace, and I've gone back. I've had to actually start writing it twice because initially I wrote like 2,000 words or something like that, and I lost the Word document, so I just start all over the other day. But it's fine because I actually reformatted everything, and it actually flows a lot better. What is your writing style like? Did you just sit down like a couple hours a day, or did you just sit down and just go through it, or how did you get it all done?
Well, I mean, when I worked in Congress with this whole entire tally bill, I had a very obsessive behavior. It's something that I never stopped doing. It was very obsessive. I got obsessed with this, and I did everything I could to get this job done. So I wrote the book the same way. I mean, because I still have kind of taken that same work ethic. The work ethic that I used to have prior to my injury was get it done. And so I didn't really waste a lot of time. I sat down, I looked at everything, I locked myself in my office, and I ended up writing the book in a couple of months. Nice. Here and there. And then it took me another month to go through pictures, as any Marine author would. I have 100 pictures in my book. So
there you go.
Kind of less writing or pictures, but now I think there's 28,000 words.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a very easy read. Most of my friends have read the book in, just a couple of days, a weekend or whatever. And I did it that way because I want folks to read the book. I didn't want to, have something that was going to be so thick and tell every little thing that happened. I wanted to get right to the meat and potatoes of this story, to just try to do my part to add some real life value in a language that everybody could understand,
Sure.
Whether you're a veteran or if you're just some 25-year-old kid just getting out of college and starting a career. I mean, this story and my message, is hope, and it's inspirational. And everybody could use some of that right now.
Sure.
With what's going on in our country.
Yeah, we could always use more inspiration. I love it. So how did you go through the what's the publishing process like? Did you hire an editor, or what exactly did you do?
So that was difficult, because I'm not famous. So, you can't, figure out, okay, well, this guy is going to just come over here and sign me $1 million check and he'll go do the book. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Sure.
So I had to do a lot of strategic research and planning and stuff like that to find out what company was going to fit my needs the best way with as minimal out-of-pocket expense for me.
Sure.
So I ended up going with Palmetto out of South Carolina, and they were a very good company to work with. What they did is they took my book and they did all the editing on it, and they put it all together. They made it all work and flow, and they charge a fee to do that. But the cool thing about it is they know how to do this stuff. And they put my book on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble. I mean, I think my book is anywhere books are sold online is where my book is at. So, you know, from every bookstore there is in the country, it's even on, like, I think Target's website, you know, because they put together the ISBN numbers and all this other stuff. So, you know, they're very good to work with. And another good thing about this too is I don't need to come out of pocket all this thousands of dollars and buy my own books and then, you know, sell them out of my, you know, the trunk of my car, like how folks used to. So everything is print on demand, you know. So with Palmetto, they did all that stuff. They set it up at the largest printer in the country, I believe, is Ingram. And anytime anybody orders a book on Amazon or whatever it may be, it's printed that same day. Okay. And it's mailed out. So they just do one print, two print, you know, it's all print on demand.
We might talk a little bit more offline about some business stuff too, because, you know, obviously I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just writing a book. So
yeah, I'll be able to give you a lot of really good information that I couldn't find myself because, you know, I have a lot of friends that wrote books or anything like that. And, you know, there's not a lot of people, you know, out there that, you know, are willing to sit down with a guy they don't know or, you know, to just offer some advice. So again, you know, I had to do my own work and, you know, figure it all out on my own. But now that I have that information, I'm always, you know, willing to share it with others.
Okay. Well, awesome. Real quick, name of the book and where they can find it.
I didn't choose this job. It chose me, Brian J. Talley. And the book is on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. Just do a quick Google search and there will be plenty of links there for the book. And again, you know, my mission and my goal was when I wrote the book, I just wanted to add some real life value to folks that, you know, that decided to pick it up and read it. And I believe that my book will do that.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. We got to cut off here. When I drop you off, don't go anywhere because I'm gonna chat with you for a minute. Sure. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for what you've done for the country and for veterans. I greatly appreciate people like you that are actually doing something with your lives after the military. And you are definitely the type of people that I want to promote anytime we have a chance to have a guest on this show. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and we'll chat in a minute.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you guys for listening to Veterans Action Report. I think I might have said Warriors Next Adventure podcast earlier. I'm so used to it. Episode 14, I think it went really well. Again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for commenting. Thanks you guys for sharing. I love what I get to do with this show. It helps me with what I do with Warriors Next Adventure and help veterans, you know, find ways to improve their lives and giving inspiration. And so, you know, KGRA for giving us, you know, this voice. I'm really appreciative. And it's been super helpful. So again, today, thank you, Brian, for coming on the show. Go check out his book on Amazon. I Didn't Choose This Life, It Chose Me. And thank you to Operation Rolling for Resistance. Go check out their Facebook page, doing 22 jiu-jitsu tournaments in honor of veteran suicide prevention. He's over on Facebook. You can go to his page and donate. As usual, every episode benefits Warriors Next Adventure. It's a nonprofit that I'm a founder of, and then co-host Andrew runs Houses for Warriors over in Colorado. They have amazing things going on right now. They just had $60,000 donated to do a remodel of a veteran's house. He needed a ladder put into his house. Elevator put into his house so he can actually go upstairs and downstairs without having to transfer himself. Warriors Next Adventure has a hockey tournament coming up on Memorial Weekend. It's May 28th and 29th. Go to warriorsnextadventure.com. You can go check it out there and see how you can get involved. Thank you guys. Have a good day. We'll talk to you next week.
Perfect.